Hey guys! So today what I am going to do is show you what I wear pretty much every day for my makeup. Yeah, I kind of have two extremes. It's either no makeup or maybe like my eyebrows are filled in and I have mascara, or it's everything. But this is what I wear all the time. I wear it to school, I wear it to date nights, any type of thing that I do. I don't know. I just like makeup. It's fun. And it doesn't help that I look like I'm 12 without makeup, even though I'm 22. So, yeah. This is kind of what I also do to compensate for the fact that I need my students to think that I'm older than them. I'm gonna get started and show you what I do. So the first thing that I do in the mornings to prep for everything is I use this primer. It's kind of dirty, but this is the L'Oreal Magic Lumi Light Infusing Primer. It's kind of iridescent, which I like because it makes everything all dewy and shiny. Yeah, like it looks like I'm putting super shiny highlighty stuff. You can also mix this in with your foundation and it makes it just more glowy and luminous. But I kind of like putting it on first because it almost works as like a moisturizer before I put anything on. So I kind of just do it that way. Yeah, that's just what I like doing. And the next thing I do, this is actually like a weird trick that I do. I use the lid of another foundation. This is the Dermablend Professional Cover Cream, which I like. A lot of times I use it to carve out my brows if I want them to be super defined. And that's what I use, even though it's a foundation. It's a foundation that's very, very solid. So it's not one of those things that I like using all over my face all the time, unless I want something that's just kind of really intense. But what I like using on my face is Dermacol Makeup Cover, which I'm sure lots of people have heard about at this point because it's been like all over YouTube and everything, but it's my favorite because it's super moisturizing and smoothing, and then there's also a ton of coverage, which but it doesn't look like super heavy coverage. If you apply it with a light hand, you're going to just get very smooth, even coverage, and it's gonna look like it's your own skin. I use the shade 208, which is the lightest shade that they have. So I just take a very little amount and I put it on the lid, and then I take my e.l.f. What kind of brush are you? Ultimate Blending Brush. That's what I use for my foundation. I just stipple this a little bit. I don't even use that whole amount because if I did, this would look insane. This is very, very high coverage. But what I do is I take that amount and I pretty much am using this on my entire face. I'm gonna spread this out so that I can get this on my entire face. This looks extremely light right now, but I promise you once I have everything on, it will not look like this. This is also like a little bit more yellow toned than my skin. You can probably see I'm a little more pink toned. Again, I blend this in, so this is like extremely, extremely thin. If you wanted to get like really super intense high coverage with most foundations, what you do is you stipple it so that you're not blending it away. With this one, what I find is using that technique of blending away actually makes it sink into your skin. Now, I'm sure that this looks like crazy right now, like ghost crazy. I get all the way around my eyes, like this, all the way around my eye. Okay. So I'm blending all of this in. I'm gonna blend it on my neck to make sure this is all good. Okay. and that looks pretty good. Pretty darn good. Okay, I'm just gonna get my forehead a little bit. Okay. Yep, that looks great. Okay, so now that I have that on, my skin is all evened out and it looks all great and wonderful. So for my brows, what I like using is this Jordana Fabubrow eyebrow pencil in light taupe. This is what it's like. It actually has like even a little brush on the end of the cap. I don't tend to use that very much. What I do use is I just will fill in the shape that I generally want with this, and then I will take this brush that I got this at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, one of those. It's just like a little angled liner brush, and I just blend it out with that. So I'm gonna do that really quick, but I have to sharpen this first. It is sharpened. I like to do is just get the general shape with this. So I'm not doing like my entire brow like super soft. This probably, you can see, looks like a little harsh right now. But that is okay because I'm gonna blend out. I found that when I was using the products that like everybody else was using, like all the micro brow types of things that were the twist ups, that my issue was that this part in the inner corner of my eyebrow wouldn't stay very well, so I'd end up with my eyebrow kind of like on the outer half looking all great and everything, but the rest of it wouldn't. So and also they're kind of like really expensive, so I was paying all this money for this stuff and it wasn't even doing what it should be doing. Like, some people had a great time with it because they already had pretty thick brows, so they were just defining it a little bit more. I can't really do that. I have to get a little bit more of a shape in. And then what I do is I blend out with this brush. So then I get like a better eyebrow shape overall when I'm doing that. And sometimes even additionally, so obviously I use this to blend out, but sometimes even additionally I'll just take like my ring finger or my middle finger and I'll, one of them, and I'll blend out even more so that I'm not having some super harsh, like angry eyebrow looking thing. But I've just found that it flatters my face shape a whole lot more if I have eyebrows in this part on my face, rather than over here you see it's like all bald. So I'll show you the same thing. Now my eyebrows are not the same shape, so I kind of have to alter the shape of this a little bit, which basically means this one is more curved than the other one. This one is like pretty much straight across, and this one is curved. So I kind of have to straighten this one out just a tiny bit, because as much as I try to add an arch over here, I can't add that much of an arch. So, okay, so there's this part so far. Then I have to pull that out a little bit more with the brush. So you can already see I actually have a little bit of a frame to my eyes now, which helps with the whole not looking 12 thing, because I think the light eyebrows and the light eyelashes are the two things that end up making me look younger. Like, that's the whole reason why I look younger. So if I take care of those things, then I've pretty much made myself already look like my age. But anyway, that is where I am for my base. Okay. So what I like to do after that is my eyes, and I'm going to, I've used like a lot of different primers, but for today I'm just going to use the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. This is actually like a concealer, so lots of people use it for under eyes. And I use it for that too. I love this stuff. When I want to have like a no makeup day, I will use this as my like straight up foundation. So I'm getting on my eyes, and then I'm using this also as my concealer. I just go like that with it, and then I'm going to blend this out with the same e.l.f. brush that I used for my foundation. put it right there. I'm also gonna put it on my forehead because I don't like ever break out, but I have a stubborn little thing on my forehead right now. That looks beautiful. Okay. So right now, kind of had just like intense eyebrows. We don't want to stay at this point because then look super young and I just have intense eyebrows. It's not a good place to stay. Another thing that I use as an additional base sometimes is this Revlon eyeshadow stick. Let's see, where is it? There you are. Okay, this is the Revlon Photo Ready Eye Art. And I generally use this a ton for like inner corner because it's glitter and I love it. But if I want my eyeshadow to stay super, super well, I also will use this other side that is the eyeshadow itself. This shade, this does not have to be blended really well, by the way. Like, it doesn't matter that I just did that. I'm just gonna take this on my lid, and then I am taking a fluffy little brush. This is It Cosmetics. And then I'm just gonna blend this out. And this is not supposed to be like super opaque or anything. This is just to add a little bit of dimension, to set my base, and then it also just makes everything stay super, super well. I love how my makeup looks whenever I use this. I'm using that. If you want your eyeshadow to look good, just make sure it's super well blended. You pretty much have it all down then. If you have that part down, then it'll all look good in the end. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm gonna whip out this palette. This is my favorite eyeshadow palette, probably of like all time. That sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. I also like the original. Do I have the original out? Let's see. Oh yeah, I do. It's on my bed because I was looking at it earlier. The original has 10 eyeshadows and then 4 highlighters. So that's what the original one looks like. You can tell that that one's well loved too, and which colors I like. I don't like that at all, or that one, or that one. So this is what the deluxe edition is. It has 21 eyeshadows, or wait, 21 eyeshadows and highlighters in combination. So that's what that looks like. Also, very, very well loved. Even this one has broken because I've used it a ton, and it's, yeah, it's extremely, extremely loved. But what I normally will do is I will take a lighter highlighty shade. So something like, this one's my favorite. I like using this one, and sometimes I mix it in with this lighter shade that's like iridescent and purpley, and I use that on the inner part of my lid. I was just looking at my mirror really quick. Then what I do, I take my crease brush. This is also from TJ Maxx Marshalls, one of those. And I take a transition shade first. So normally what I use as my transition shade is this one right here. It's kind of like a peachy taupe. And I pack that on my brush and I put that in the outer corner. And it's kind of like harsh when you first put it on because I'm using like a crease brush for it. And that's just so I'm packing the color on. That's not how it's gonna stay. But that's what I do first. I pack the color on. Looks kind of intense. Okay, and then I also go over that with this like mauve-y shade. And I'll get that in the outer corner over that. And that's normally what I have. Whoops. Tiny little bit of fallout. Okay, that's what I just have in the beginning. And then what I do is I take, this is an e.l.f., or no, not e.l.f. e.l.f. has brushes like this, but this is a Wet n Wild brush. I get these from the Dollar Tree. And I just blend out the outer corners. So, okay. So that's what I have for the eyeshadow. I'm gonna go back over this, just get the any fallout I have. Okay, that's what I have there. And then what I normally do is I take a little, it's like an eyeshadow brush that just packs eyeshadow on. I use it on the bottom part This is also a Wet n Wild brush, and I normally will take this really dark plummy shade, and sometimes I mix it with this mauve shade as well. I also use this dark brown as well. I kind of just mix it depending on what I'm feeling that day, but I'm gonna just go in mainly with the plum today, and I work that on the bottom lash line. Looks like I'm actually an adult all of a sudden. Sometimes after that, I will go back in with some more eyeshadow on the outer corner if I want to deepen it up a little bit. I kind of just take my pick of whichever darker shade I want to do. Sometimes I'll mix it with this one right here as well, tiny bit to match the bottom. What I like to do is work up in stages so that I don't look like insane right after the first step. I think this is just how you get like a really good eye look out of a palette, is when you make sure that you're building things up and you're gradually going. I think that's part of why I like this so much, is that the shades all complement each other and they're not insanely different, and they're all in the tones that I think complement my skin tones, so I don't really have to worry about one particular shade not being flattering. So that's what I normally do to start off with my eyes. And then, let's see, then I work with eyeliner. What I take for my eyeliner is this Maybelline New York Eye Studio is a gel liner, and I just use this for my waterline. I don't use this everywhere, and I don't actually use it in my entire waterline. What I like doing is doing the outer edge of my waterline. I find that it just doesn't look as harsh when I do that. I also will take it kind of up on my lashes and get it on the tight line on the top a little bit, but just again on the outer portion, not too far in, because if you do that then it looks a little too harsh. When I did the makeup for my bridesmaids on my wedding, I did a lot of these same types of things on them. The thing that I used on the inner corner though was glitter. I used the Stila glitter. It was in Kitten Karma, and that's what I used kind of as their base instead of the Revlon thing that I used in the beginning. So that was how it was a little bit different, but for the outer edge and how I blended everything, it was again all the same. And I find that if you want to make a look that you do every day a little bit more dramatic, you normally can just go for things that pop a little bit more, like you use a deeper crease shade and you use a lighter highlight or a more glittery highlight, and then you have a more intense look. But this is actually something, not everybody would wear this to work, but I wear this to work every day, or at least every day that I'm awake enough to be able to do this. There have been a couple days where I haven't been able to get the lashes at the end on because I've been that tired. For the most part, this is what I do because I don't want to look 12. Okay, so this is the upper part. I'm just getting the outer upper tight line, then the waterline in the outer part. This eyeliner that I have on right now is so opaque and it just dries so perfectly and it stays in on your waterline. It's not one of those things that ends up like being stuck, like that crusty stuff in your inner corner after you've had it on for like 5 minutes. Or even if you've had it on for your entire day. There have been times where I've been wearing this like all day and I have to scrub to get it off because it stays on that well. So I kind of love this stuff. And then I don't always do upper eyeliner, but when I do it, I always use the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner. Recently, I also found the Ulta brand eyeliner that they have. It's the micro one, is also really good, and that actually even has an even finer tip than this, which is insane because before I had discovered that, this was my gold standard of finding a thin liquid liner, and then Ulta blew my mind and made one that was even tinier. I like that one as well. Because I'm so used to this is a little bit easier for me to maneuver. Obviously the Ulta one is more affordable, so I think if you aren't already used to this one, that's a really good one to try, and it works super, super well. But what I do next is I will line the top line. I do this different depending on how I feel on the day. Sometimes I will just do a line that ends right where my eye ends, and sometimes I wing it out. If I don't have enough time to wing it out, I'm not going to wing it out, because nothing is worse than having bad winged eyeliner. I think that it ruins your entire look, and you just look like a really, really terrible Cleopatra. And that's just not a good day to have when you look like that. So I just kind of change it based on what I'm going to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet today, but we'll find out when I'm done with this. Okay, we'll liken this today. So this is when it just ends at the end. I think that's what I'm just going to end up doing for today, because I kind of like the look. It's kind of like a smoky look already with all the shades that I choose, so I think that's where I'm going to stay with that. And then what I use first, I kind of just do a base for what I end up doing for my lashes. Base is just using mascara. My favorite one, it's this Palladio Lash Obsessed Amped Up Length and Volume. Wow. Say that 10 times fast. Amped Up Length and Volume. Wow. Yeah. And I just take that on the upper lashes. I also use it on the lower lashes. Okay, and a lot of people would stop here, and that is okay. I have stopped here before. But what happened for the wedding was I got eyelash extensions, which is great because then your eyelashes look all great and wonderful when you have them. But when they all come out, your eyelashes don't look as great and wonderful. Which means that if you want to have them look the way that they looked before, you're probably not going to be able to get that look with mascara. I used to be able to get it with just this mascara because my eyelashes, even though they were blonde, were pretty dang long. If your eyelashes are great, you can skip this last step, but what I like to do is take false eyelashes at the end and my eyelash glue, and I put them on. I know that this is kind of like intense for most people's everyday look. I think the key to making this look good is to not pick crazy intense eyelashes. And I found I have like half hooded eyes. They are hooded only in like the center part, which is kind of a strange spot for them to be hooded, and like the outer part a little bit, but it's not my entire lid that is. Which means that there are certain eyelashes that look absolutely insane on me. I would look like I just had caterpillars up on my eyelids if I used them. And when I first started using eyelashes like this, I made that mistake a few times. Luke straight up looked at me like I was an insane person because what do you have on your eyes? Like, that looks crazy. Now I wear them and he doesn't even realize that I'm wearing them. And that's because I've gotten better at picking eyelashes for my eye shape. But these ones, they are shorter in the inner part and then they flutter out on the outer part. These are probably the most dramatic that I would go. And these are, I get them in a multi-pack for these ones. These are the Ardell Natural multi-pack. And these are the most intense ones that I wear. They're called Natural. So I think that kind of tells you what I wear. These are the Demi Wispies in black. And that's the same as what this is. So yeah, that's what I do. I take just like a little bit of lash glue and I just put a thin layer on it. And I wait for it to dry and become tacky before I put it on. The easiest way to mess up lashes is to mess up with the glue. I just take, so I will let it squirt and get on this little part on the actual rim, and then I take that glue and I spread it along the lashes. And you want it to be pretty thin. That looks really thick, but you want to make sure it's just coated all along all of it, because if it's not coated on the entire thing, then you're going to end up with one of the corners not sticking and the whole illusion is ruined. And that's kind of the point of this. You don't want these to look like you're wearing fake lashes, unless it's for like a Halloween costume or something, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm wearing these every day and I'm wearing them to things like work. I really don't want them to look insane or to have like the little edges coming up. So I'll set that on my little eyeliner pot, and then I'll get the other one so that they can be drying at the same time. Now I'm not sure that I can actually put these on in the camera, but I will try. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be something I can do though. I just make sure I get like any little excess glue that's on this, I make sure that it's even, because that's the whole point of this. I'm going to set the other one down on the little eyeliner pot now. Let's see if I can get these on. I'm going to use this mirror in front of me. I don't know if I'll stay in frame for this, but I will try. Okay, so now I have it placed. And then I'm going to press and press. When I first started putting these on, I had this tool that I would use, and then I would squeeze it on my eyelids. Now I just use my finger because I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with this whole process. But if you were not comfortable with that process and you don't like touching around your eye, then I wouldn't do that. This probably looks super crazy intense because I have one on and the other off, but you'll see in a minute that it doesn't actually look crazy when you have both on. Okay. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna get a little spoolie and separate my lashes. If you want to make sure that they look good and are incorporated with your natural lashes, you can take a little spoolie. This is an e.l.f. one that I got for $1, and you can just incorporate them a little bit better so that it looks more natural. So there's what you have, and I look like an adult with my makeup done. So I'll do lips first, because that is one of the big things that I like doing. And I'm going to take this matte liquid lipstick. This came with my Melissa Michelle Ulta Beauty palette that I have. And I'm going to use something from it in just a minute, but it came in here. It comes with all these eyeshadows, highlighter, blush. But I'm going to put this on first. I kind of move in and out the lip colors that I use, but this one is a really good neutral color. Most of the shades that I use are neutral colors. This is a great like fall color. Okay, then I take it up so that I define my cupid's bow a little bit more. Now here's the thing though, I actually don't overline on my lips. I think that if I do that, it kind of just looks a little insane. So I just have to make sure that I can find the shape on my lips as I'm doing something like a liquid lipstick. Now this one is a little bit more of a soft, wearable liquid lipstick. There are some other ones that are more like drying and intense, like the ColourPop ones, which I like those. This one's super nice. It smells like vanilla. It smells like cupcakes or icing or something. I like it. So that's what I do for that. And then the next step that I do is I take, this is a Real Techniques rose gold brush, and I take Essence. It's a fix and compact powder. It's all about matte. This is a translucent powder, and I pack it in on this brush and I set my face. Because it's technically translucent, it's like white, which I find is something that I like because my face is already pale, and finding a shade that matches me in powder, not that easy. I like also the Coty Airspun powders. Those are great, but those are like insanely like perfumey scented. I kind of like the smell after using it for a while, but it's not one of those smells when you first smell it that you're like, ooh, I love this. But I take this and I get it all over my face. And the reason that I do this is because this is what I generally tend to wear like every day. And if I'm doing this at school, this is probably the most important step because I want this to stay on all day and not look insane. So that's what I do next. And then I like to take a blush. It tends to be like a neutrally blush. There are a couple different options that I use. One of them that I like to use, that's like my all-time favorite, is this NYX Ombre blush in the shade Mauve Me. This is like my favorite blush. It is so well loved. I've hit pan on it. It's like my favorite. But the other thing that I like using is from the Ulta palette. So I'll show them side by side so you can see what they look like. I tend to like very similar types of tones for my blush. I don't like intense like hot pink blushes or anything like that. When you go in that type of shade range, it tends to just look insane on me because I'm so pale. So I have to go for something that's neutral toned. So I'm gonna go in with the Ulta one today. You can see, like even that, when you first are putting it on, it looks kind of intense, and then I go in and I blend it out. And it looks beautiful though. I love this type of shade. Okay, then I go in on the other side. I get my blush on. Okay, so that is blush. Even that looks like more color than what I normally wear. So the one that I normally wear that's in the mauve one is less peachy, and it's more of like a plummy purpley tone, and so it doesn't look as intense. But I love both of them. And then for highlight. Okay, so I have a couple different ones that I really like. I have a palette. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Nicole Guerrero palette. I like YouTube collabs because they tend to have a lot of really good ones. But this one is one of the highlighting type of products that I like using. I also like using Flower Beauty highlighting palette. It's very well loved because all of the different shades are really flattering. And even for someone who's pale like me, they look really flattering. So that's almost unheard of. Lots of cult favorites for highlighters aren't exactly the most flattering things. Yeah, I tend to get really excited when I find something that I think also looks good on me. So when I'm going to use the Flower Beauty one. That's the one that's from the drugstore. You can get them at Walmart. And that tends to be the one that I use more often, but I love both of them. But I like to take the lightest shade first, and I will pick that up on my brush. I will apply a little bit of that onto my nose with the lightest shade. And then I actually apply it right here, because I go a little crazy with this particular highlighter. I like how subtle it is, but it makes everything look like super, super beautiful. So I do it on all of like the high points in my face where I want it to look like I'm lighter there. And then I take the pinky one and I use it kind of as like a blush topper, and that's the one that I use in the normal place that most people use highlight. If I'm using the other palette, the Nicole Guerrero one, then I will normally take like this one and use that one a lot. I also will sometimes use this as a blush. These I will use as like straight up blushes. They won't just be like super sparkly blushes. I love them. They're super beautiful. Okay, and if I, for whatever reason, think that I went overboard with highlight or something, then I can always go back in with my essence powder over top. So I'll just show what that looks like. I can always go back in over it, and it's still all glowy and everything. It's just a little bit more matte, and I'll go back in with that. And that's what I do every day for my makeup, pretty much. I think it's fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, bye.